Spectre is a spy film and is directed by Sam Mendes and stars Daniel Craig. So we have finally reached the end of this review series, and it's most unfortunate that this film was such a letdown. While not terrible and nowhere near as bad as Quantum of Solace, I couldn't help but feel cheated by this movie, especially with the choices and directions that were taken. Firstly, I do have to give credit to the very first shot of the movie, which was done as a tracking shot, which was both well framed and executed. In fact, all of the cinematography in the film was fantastic, even if it doesn't exactly hit the same level that Roger Deakins was able to reach in Skyfall. However, once we get past the opening credits, that's when things start to take a turn for the worse. One of the side plots that is quickly introduced is how MI6 is tired and outdated and must evolve with the times and the technology. The idea of pointing out how outdated something is and that it must be up to date with the current timeline is itself an outdated idea. And unfortunately, this is the same stupid idea they try to shove down our throats in Jason Bourne. The film's next big mistake is the same mistake that Quantum of Solace made, and that was trying to make Spectre a direct sequel to the previous films, where all the villains from Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall were all minions to the villain from this film, who was revealed to be Blofeld. Not only does this take away the impact of the previous villains, as they were essentially cogs in a rotating organization, but also the fact that they picked a villain from the past and one that I made quite clear that I wasn't a fan of. So that pretty much goes against the side plot I mentioned earlier, where James Bond must get with the current timeline. Well, nothing says getting with the times by bringing back a villain from over 50 years ago. But an even bigger insult to those previous villains I mentioned is that Blofeld, who was played by Christoph Waltz, didn't do that great a job and came off as bland. The film also tries to chuck in a bunch of stupid ideas, such as when James Bond and Blofeld grew up together, and that it was Blofeld's jealousy of his own father loving Bond more that made him become a villain. Then there's a later scene where a bomb goes off in Blofeld's face, giving him his trademark scar. And this was done in a way where the filmmakers treated us like idiots by saying, "Get it? Because this character had a scar in the older films." Now, this film isn't all bullshit, because there are still a few things I will defend about the film. The action scenes were really good, as well as some of the newer characters. The actress who played the main Bond girl I liked in the movie, even if her character did seem a bit underdeveloped. The villain henchman played by Bautista was also a joy to watch, and the fight scene between him and Bond on the train was one of the highlights of the film for me. For most of the movie, I was being entertained by it, even if it wasn't totally fantastic. However, once we reached the third act of the film, that's when it starts to fall apart. The whole final act was such an underwhelming and weirdly executed finale, and the way this film ended was kind of like, is that it? Overall, while it's not bad, it was majorly disappointing. The action scenes and the cinematography were fine, but where the film falls flat is with its story, its overly long runtime, and some of the characters, especially the villain. The whole final act is where everything is beyond saving, and it's even more disappointing that the same director who gave us the amazing Skyfall gave us this complete mess of a film. And I'm gonna give Spectre a 6 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thank you for watching.